Hi guys, welcome back to another sewing tutorial on this channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you're stopping for the first time, you're welcome. In today's video guys, we'll be learning how to make a Bubu dress with cold shoulder. If this is what you're interested in learning, please do not forget to watch the video to the end. Give it a thumbs up if you find it interesting or you learned something. Please give it a thumbs up and then share and subscribe. So guys, let's get right into the tutorial. So guys, the first thing I simply did was to place my fabric on fold. I have like 4 layers of fabric on the work table, and then I went ahead to draft my shoulder line. From the shoulder line, I'll be marking my waistline, my hip line, and then the full length of your Bubu dress. I'm doing a long Bubu dress. You can choose to do a short one just like what we have on the thumbnail. On my waistline, I'll be marking the quarter of my waist plus additional 4 inches with no seam allowance, okay? I'll be incorporating my seam into the 4 inches. On the hip, I did the quarter of my hip plus 4 inches seam allowance. Then I went ahead to link the measurement I have on my hip line down to the full length of my Bubu dress, okay? Either short or long is still the same thing, okay? So guys, I'll go ahead and place my neck width measurement on the shoulder line. My neck width measurement is 4 inches. I'll go ahead and mark 4 inches. The shoulder 7.5, which is my shoulder divided by 2, 7.5. I'll also go ahead and take a measurement of my across back divided by 2, or from your center back to your sleeve length, okay? So for me, I'm working with 21 inches, okay? Then I'll go ahead and establish my shoulder slope by 1.5 inches. My sleeve measurement is 10 inches, guys. You can do 11 if you want something broader, but I worked with 10 inches because I'll be incorporating both my seam allowance for the shoulder and sleeve seam into this 10 inches. So automatically I'll be having like 9 inches. Then I curved it, linked it down to my waistline, as you can see. The next thing I'll do is to cut out the excess pattern, and then we're left with the pattern we drafted on the fabric. Okay guys, so we're done trimming out the pattern, as you can see. The next thing we'll simply do is to establish our off shoulder, which is the asymmetric neckline. And we know that of course we're supposed to put our pattern on a spread. So what I simply did was to notch my neck width, which is very important. You notch your neck width measurements, you notch your shoulder measurements, okay? The shoulder measurement on the fabric, ensure that you notch it because it's going to be very helpful for this asymmetric neckline drafting. So what I simply did was to place my pattern on a spread after notching the important places that will be helpful to me. You can see I'm highlighting the notched points on both sides, okay? So I have my shoulder and my neck width. So I'm going to be choosing the parts I want for the off shoulder. It can either be here or here, depending on preference, okay, where you prefer. So I'll be working with this side. For my off shoulder, directly on the shoulder measurement, I came down by 4 inches. So I'm going to be linking it to my neck width, okay? I remember that the neck width measurement I worked with is 5 inches, guys, not 4 inches. Please take note, okay? I worked with 5 inches neck width. And the off shoulder, directly on the shoulder, one side of the shoulder is 4 inches, okay? So from this my shoulder, I'll be moving out by additional 2 inches, and then I'll go ahead and create a curve, okay? So the additional 2 inches is the off shoulder from me, because you can see that I came down directly on the shoulder points by 4 inches. So off the shoulder is the additional 2 inches I added. So I'll go ahead and cut out the neckline. So we have our asymmetric neckline on the fabric. Okay guys, so what I'll simply do next is to cut out my pocket. I'll be doing a freehand simply because it's just a residual fabric I have after drafting out my Bubu dress. I think it's about 8 inches in the total length, and the width around 5 to 6 inches. It's just a small pocket I'll be attaching from the waistline. Then what I'll simply do here is to draft our symmetric neckline front facing. So you place your fabric on fold. You can see I have 4 layers simply because I want to draft the front and the back. If you want to draft the front separately, you should have like 2 layers. But if you want to draft the front and the back, you should have like 4. On the shoulder, I went out by 3 inches, simply because I want my facing to be around 2 inches. If you want your facing to be broader than 2 inches, you do 4 inches. Okay, the broader one seems to be more better and relaxed. Okay, so 2 inches is a bit small for what we have on the thumbnail, but I worked with 3 inches, and I'm advising that you can do 4 inches to make it a bit broader. Okay, so I went ahead to cut out the facing accordingly, okay, based on the neckline that we drafted. So just cut out, or you can use a chalk to draw out the lines and cut out, or you cut out with the fabric attached to it. So after cutting it out, you can see I'm trying to ascertain that I have 3 inches here. You can choose to notch that point, okay, since you have cut out the shoulder where we highlighted the chalk. But I used the pin to like indicate the 3 inches mark, as you can see. So guys, I'll go ahead and use my chalk to continue the markings, like take a measurement of 3 inches round the neckline. You can do 4 inches round the neckline, just like I mentioned that if you want a broader one, you can mark 4 inches round this neckline by doing 3 inches. So by the time I close up the seam for the lower and the upper side, I'll be left with 2 inches. So for the 3 inches, 1 inch is for the seam allowance. So I'll go ahead and use my scissors to cut it out from the fabric, or remove the excess fabric from the pattern that we drafted. So guys, what I'll simply do next is to take this front facing to the sewing machine. On the front facing, I went in by 1/2 inch, which is optional. You can choose to secure your facing on the shoulder seam. Going in by 1/2 inch is like removing it from and preventing it from getting into your seam. But just like what we have on the thumbnail, the facing is linked into the shoulder seam, so you can just use your scissors to create a triangular effect. But I wanted my facing to be a few inches away from my shoulder. Okay, so there are different ways you can achieve this, but the most important thing is drafting your asymmetric neckline in such a way that it fits on your shoulder. That's the most important part of the tutorial. So what I'll simply do next is to trim out the excess on the facing, and then I'm going to be turning and giving it a good press. Okay, so guys, what you need to do is to use your steam iron and then relax it properly, okay, after turning it. Once you have done that, what you need to do next is to secure it on your fabric, just like what I mentioned, that my front facing is few inches away from my shoulder seam, and then you can choose to secure it on your shoulder. By doing that, there's no need for you to go in by 1/2 inch. Ensure that you secure it in your shoulder. When closing up your shoulder seam, you secure your facing on both sides. Okay, so I only secured my facing on one side. You can see that this particular side, I started from the shoulder line, so that by the time I close my shoulder, the facing is incorporated into it. But on the other side, it's like few inches away from it. And just like I explained, that you can also link both sides into your shoulder. So what you need to do is to create your triangular effect with your scissors, and ensure that the facing runs into your shoulder seam. So after doing that, I'll go ahead and use my scissors to notch so that it can relax properly. If there's need for you to top stitch, it's okay, but notching is fine. Since we're flipping it to the other side, just notch very well. Ensure that you notch it properly. Just notch from the top, from one end down to the other side. Then you give it a good press. Flip it to your front facing and make sure you relax it. Ironing is so important at every stage of this tutorial. So guys, at this point, I've closed my shoulder for the front and the back, right sides facing each other. What I'm trying to do here is to turn the sleeve. This is the sleeve, so I'm also using this facing for it to turn the sleeve. So this is the wrong side of my Bubu dress, and I simply place this band, which I placed iron on fold about 5 inches. 1/2 inch on both sides is for seam allowance. I'm going to be stitching it by 1/2 inch. and then by the time I flip it to the other side, I'm going to be top stitching. So automatically we have like 2 inches band. The total width is 5 inches, half an inch on both sides. That means we're removing 1 inch for the seam, so we're left with 4 inches. 4 inches on fold, we have 2 inches. So guys, you can notch at this point, and then what I'll do is to fold it, flip it to the right side, and then I'll go ahead and top stitch just like you can see me doing. Okay, after top stitching, you give it a good press. Use your steam iron to give it a good press. Okay guys, so one thing we should take note of is that most measurements we use for this tutorial is not a standard. You can go ahead and use your own body measurements. For your basic body measurement, which includes the hip and the waist, you can choose to add 3 inches or 5 inches depending on how comfortable you want, and also includes it also includes the facing. You can choose to do a measurement, make it broader than that. You can also choose to make the band on the sleeve broader than that. Okay, so this is the band I'll be using for the front. So the band runs from the front and to the back. Okay, so we have the band in front, across the shoulder, and linking to the back, extending to the back. So for on the thumbnail, the band should be around 3 inches, but I'm working with 2 inches. Okay, if you want your band to be 3 inches, that means your width should be around 7 inches. So I have 5 inches. I'm going to be turning it and give it a good press. Okay, I'll stitch, turn, and give it a good press. So this is my band. Like I mentioned, the band is 2 inches simply because my width, I had the width of my fabric is 5 inches. So before cutting out this band, you have to ascertain the total length of your Bubu dress, both in front and the back, and also include your shoulder. My off shoulder is 4 inches, so automatically I have 8 inches for my shoulder. So plus the total length in front and the total length at the back. So what I need to do is to ascertain where I have my off shoulder, where you have the 8 inches measurement on your asymmetric neckline. I went ahead to place my band, okay, on it, on that particular point, and I ensured that I positioned it in such a way that it is very straight. That is why I have to place it on a table that can accommodate both the front and the back. But if you don't have this kind of space, what you need to do is to use your iron and create a crease line in front that will guide you. Because if you don't please secure this or create a crease line, or use your chalk to draw a perfect straight line, you may find out that after stitching your band may be slanted. So if you don't want your band to be slanted, you want it to be straight and properly aligned on your Bubu dress, then you have to follow these steps. Okay, so I'll take it to my sewing machine and stitch it down on both sides. After stitching it down, I'll fold my Bubu dress right sides facing each other, as you can see me doing. I've already incorporated the pockets on the Bubu dress, so you're going to be stitching from your armhole, running it down to the hem. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next tutorial. Don't forget to engage, don't forget to subscribe, and we also have other engaging tutorials on the channel. Please try and subscribe to our channel. God bless you. I'll see you in my next tutorial.